What's up, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. Bob is off today. Listen, we got a lot to dive into here. FTX seemingly has just blown up overnight. We don't know if they're going to survive or if someone's going to come in and buy them. Crypto's on fire. Everything seems like it's just going down. So we have a lot to cover in this episode. We're going to take you through what happened, what looks like might happen going forward. What does this mean for you and your crypto portfolios? So let's dive in.
Trade Genius.
All right, guys, so let's kind of rewind. Let's go back to yesterday. We kind of covered this, and basically Binance had confirmed that FTX had reached out to them for help. They were facing a liquidity crunch. And again, we don't know how the heck they got into this situation, considering all the billions that they were worth. But here we are. So we'll just kind of try to get through what we know, and then we'll probably have more information as things wash out over the coming days. But anyway, CZ said, yeah, we're going to take a look at it, sign a letter of intent to check it out. SBF came back and said, yeah, the US entities are separate from this, and I can confirm that they are processing withdrawals at FTX.us. So this does seem to be the case here. FTX.us is unaffected by the FTX.com debacle going on. So late as the day is progressing, we get a letter from CZ that was released and basically said that this wasn't part of a master plan, because there was some speculation that maybe Binance strong-armed them and is doing this on purpose so they can get FTX on the cheap. But he basically said that he didn't really know what the situation was over there until Sam had reached out to him. And so they're working on it, doing the due diligence, and let's not talk about it too much. So he was being transparent about their position on it. Then as the day progressed, we started getting more things coming out. Alameda Research website and the FTX Ventures website went dark. And so this started to kick up the rumors that, hey, maybe something is afoot here that's serious. Then this came out about how the FTX legal and compliance staff have quit. And usually when you get something like that, writing's on the wall. So everyone at this point is wondering, what's happening? If you got funds that are tied up at FTX, you're really concerned about what's going on here. Then we're starting to get reports that Binance might be walking away from the deal after looking at the books and everything, that maybe this is just a bridge too far for them. So everyone's really now wondering what the heck's going on. If they walk, this thing's done. Then Binance comes on and says, look, we're 36 hours into the due diligence process. Once we've done that, then we'll make a decision that's best for everyone. So we're like, okay, fine. Then we get this rumor that FTX may be approaching other exchanges in the US about their FTX.us entity, where maybe Gemini and Kraken might be interested in acquiring them. And then they would take that equity to basically fill in the gap for the FTX.com users that are looking to withdraw funds. Then we get this that says the Binance deal is off unless FTX US is included, which isn't necessarily a bad thing at that point, because that if they're going to do the deal, they're going to want all the FTX assets, even the one in the US. So this wasn't really too much of a negative. This actually looked more promising than anything else, and probably validated the fact that they knew FTX was shopping around the US part of FTX. But all in all, it told you that things were pretty bad liquidity-wise over there in FTX land. And of course, during the day, we start getting these figures. I mean, these are monstrous figures, guys. On Monday, Sam, founder of FTX, worth $15.6 billion. Tuesday, not even $1 billion. I mean, that is a catastrophic loss. I mean, we're talking Enron stuff here, right? So it's just wild, wild, wild. We also find out that the investors, Lightspeed, Sequoia Capital, Circle, SoftBank. I mean, these are big names, right, in the venture capital circles, and these guys are exposed to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, over $1 billion combined. And so there's going to be fallout from this, guys. I can't emphasize that enough. There's going to be fallout from this. It's going to go beyond today and tomorrow and next week. This stuff is going to take time to wash out. It's very important to understand that. Then we got the SEC is going to be investigating FTX and how they handled client funds. So this development's not good, because the last thing Binance is going to want to do is deal with US regulators. So once this comes out, now things are getting really sketchy, because the deal's in jeopardy at this point. And as the day progressed, the crypto landscape got worse and worse as far as going in the red. Most of all tokens were just diving lower. Bitcoin was diving lower. We'll get into that chart in a second here. And sure enough, we get a tweet from Binance as a result of corporate due diligence, as well as the latest news reports regarding mishandled customer funds and alleged U.S. agency investigations. We have decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX.com. At that point, that really starts to kick off another wave of selling on BTC and across the board in crypto. Now, I will point out some ironies here. I mean, this was a few months back after the Luna washout. Sam Bankman-Fried warns some crypto exchanges are already secretly insolvent. I mean, how ironic is that? And from that point in time, the only one that's gone under is FTX. I mean, it's just crazy, right? What these guys do. Here's another one. Let's check out when he was in DC testifying. This is really rich. Check this out.
Last thing that I'll say is if you look at what precipitated some of the 2008 financial crisis, you saw a number of bilateral, bespoke, non-reported transactions happening between financial counterparties, which then got repackaged and re-leveraged again and again and again, such that no one knew how much risk was in that system until it all fell apart. If you compare that to what happens on FTX or other major cryptocurrency venues today, there's complete transparency about the full open interest. There's complete transparency about the positions that are held. There's a robust, consistent risk framework applied, and we're excited to work with the CFTC on our U.S. licensed and regulated venue to bring a lot of this.
I mean, are you serious right now? So, I mean, it's really hard for going forward to be trusting these exchanges, right? I mean, it makes it hard for a lot of people. And so that's going to be the next thing that we're going to have to get over. There's going to have to be some changes in regards to the way that these guys report or how they're guaranteeing that funds, customer liabilities are collateralized and not exposed to misappropriation, which is basically what's happening here with FTX. But let's check out some perspective here. All right, so this was 2020 over here on the left, and you'll notice we were holding a range, and then the market puked. We dipped under that range. You'll notice that was COVID crashing, right? And the Bitcoin futures, the headlines, worst day ever, right? And very similar to what we have here on the right, and you basically have a similar situation holding a range, dropped out of the range, and then you have these headlines. So I'm going to point out that while it's similar, and yes, we may snap back over the area that we've broken down through here. I mean, primarily we want to see this back over 16K, right, for Bitcoin, but we don't know what the collateral damage is now at this point. There's a lot of investors with big money. We could see people selling to cover margin calls. We could see Bitcoin underselling pressure until that subsides. And it's going to look probably similar to what we saw with Luna back in June. And we'll go into the chart and take a look at how that looks between now and then. But one thing I wanted to show you guys is that the difference between over on the left of the side of the chart there where we broke down and the right side of the chart there is whether or not the Fed's pumping liquidity into the system, okay? And that's the problem we have here, is that we're not going to be seeing the same amount of liquidity. And what I mean by that is we've shared this chart with you guys. This is our Fed liquidity chart. And you'll notice that over here, where we had that initial dump on the left side of the chart we previously were looking at, notice the spike in liquidity in the system, net liquidity. This is what drives the stock market. We had a big jump in that. Versus over here now, we're not really seeing that. What we're seeing is the Fed walking this market down, trying to get inflation under control. And in this environment, what we're looking for is when fair value is oversold or we're under fair value to these levels down here. So you can see we got to that here, okay, and then we had a nice little bear market rally bounce. We got down to these levels here, and we got another bear market rally bounce. More recently, we dipped down to here, bear market rally bounce. And until this bear market is done, this is really the way to play the market. So it's a big difference between where we are now versus that previous chart where, you know, we had this seemingly big run up. Okay, so it's not the same part of the cycle. Now, is it helpful to get back above 16K? 100% it's helpful. We can take a look at that right now. This pink area here is where we had basically weekly area of where we had this big battle and then we broke out. So that's why it was supportive when we initially got into it. We're breaking under here, and the reason why we're breaking under here is because this is now forced selling. So if we go down to a 15-minute chart, Okay, you'll notice, you see how this selling is very persistent, right? Very persistent selling. And if you look back when we were back in June, when Luna was dying, and we can jump to that real quick. All right, so here is basically the low in June, right? June 18th. We see force selling, force selling, force selling after a big, like this big support level finally broke. And then force selling, force selling. This is all of the tail end of that Luna unraveling. And then we got a big sharp reversal rally up, and ultimately it held, right? So that's what we're looking for here. The force selling, big reversal, a higher low holds, and then you basically put in a low for a while. But these opportunities, you know, this is probably going to be a range that gets tested over time because, as I said, the liquidity is not coming back in the system unless the Fed makes a big change in policy. And that's a big difference between what happened in 2020 versus where we are now. We're at like the bottom of the cycle. Everything's washing out. You're going to see a lot of the alts drop further. You're going to see a more of a contraction. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to do better than 99% of the cryptos out there. And this is going to be that winter part of the cycle that everyone hates, but it's part of the process. And so we're going to probably do something similar here. So where the bottom is, we don't know yet. You know, is it here now? Is this it? Is this the final part of it? We don't know. But if we do get that big reversal, we'll look for that higher low to hold. Again, this is a weekly range that I drew here. And I'm, you know, if we get back above this, back above 16K, this holds us support, and then we can probably resolve and consolidate some in here. But I think if we're looking forward over the next few weeks, and we know liquidity is coming out of the system, because remember yesterday's episode, the Treasury, right, sucking more capital out of the system over the next 8 weeks. So Bitcoin can hold these levels, but ultimately, if the markets really start to roll over and we get a new leg down in the equity markets after these elections, we got a CPI print tomorrow that's also very important, and we start seeing this roll over, we can definitely go lower. The next area I'd look for, guys, on Bitcoin is 14,100 to 14,824. So could get a bounce in here, probably look to take some profits if that happens, and then wait and see if we drop lower. And then we have this other range over here, okay? 13,880 or so, depending on the exchanges you're looking at, should bounce as support. But keep in mind, if we get a move, and that move does something similar to, let's just say we get a move down like this, and you get that, this is not good, and it comes back down. What that's going to do is it's going to open up this range down here all the way back down to this level. So, you know, nobody would think that 6,800 or 6,500 would be in play for this cycle bottom. I didn't. I'll be the first to admit I didn't. But if this plays out and we accept back into this range, this is how the ranges work. You go back to the other side of that range. So keep an open mind of what happens here. Again, going forward, things are fluid. We have to look at the Fed liquidity, what that's doing. We don't know what the Fed's going to do. We don't know if the markets start to unwind on the equity side and things get slippery and we start crashing, the Fed might do an emergency move. Then we will get a COVID reversal. Okay, we just don't know. All I can tell you is keep tuning in. We're going to keep you abreast of what's going on. We have the Fed liquidity that we look at. That tool's being released for you guys soon. In a couple of weeks, you guys will be able to use that tool, and you can get that off of our website at tradegenius.co. So until then, guys, stay tuned. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on. Stay safe. If you have funds tied up in FTX, I feel for you. We'll have to see what happens. If they're able to get funding, emergency funding, they will probably start processing client withdrawals, and that's a good thing. And we'll cover it as it happens, guys. We're going to keep you abreast. So with that, I'm going to leave you here. We're going to see what develops over the next 24 hours. We'll be back tomorrow. Bob and I will discuss what's going on and keep you guys on your toes. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Trade Genius.